The crowd roared as the gates of the arena creaked open. Jard Cole's heart pounded so loudly he thought it might echo across the entire stadium. He had been dragged across the stars, away from his home planet Earth, into a world he barely understood. The arena wasn't just a place for combat. It was a spectacle, a place where alien species from dozens of planets gathered to watch life and death clash in ways he had never imagined. He had never fought anyone in his life. Now, he was expected to survive against monsters, warriors, and traps that could kill him in a heartbeat. The first thing that struck him was the smell. Smoke, burnt metal, and something sweet and sour. He guessed it was the smell of alien blood. His hands shook as he touched the edge of his harness, which was all he had been given to protect himself. The other competitors looked nothing like him. Tall, armored, horned, or scaled, each one seemed designed for survival, designed to kill. And he was just a human, fragile, slow, easy to break. As he stepped forward, the ground beneath him trembled. The arena itself was alive with danger. A pit opened nearby, revealing jagged spikes, each coated with a faint, glowing toxin. Somewhere a creature screeched, something with 6 legs and a maw that looked like it could swallow a small ship. Jard swallowed hard, trying to focus. Fear was a heavy stone in his chest, but he refused to let it paralyze him. He had to survive, somehow. "Move," a voice hissed in his ear. It was translated into English through the small device clipped to his collar. "Or die quickly." The creatures were moving with a rhythm that seemed almost impossible to predict. But Jard noticed a pattern. The floor shifted every 5 seconds in a clockwise rotation. If he timed it, he could avoid the spikes and land safely. The first attack came faster than he expected. A large, 4-armed alien lunged from the shadows. Its skin was green and rough like tree bark, and its eyes glowed yellow with malice. Jard's first instinct was to run, but he had nowhere to go. The creature swung its arm at him, sharp claws slicing the air. Jard dropped to the side, narrowly avoiding the strike. His knees hit the metal floor, sending sparks into the air. He scrambled to his feet, heart racing. The arena was loud with the sound of the crowd, but he barely heard them. All he could see was the alien moving closer, ready to tear him apart. And then he saw it, an object lying among the debris. It was a small, broken piece of metal from the arena's infrastructure. Without thinking, he picked it up. It was heavy in his hands, but it could work. When the alien attacked again, Jard swung the metal scrap like a club. The impact didn't kill the creature, but it staggered it. He realized then that his survival depended not on strength, but on cleverness. He could not overpower them, but he could outsmart them. From the stands, hidden behind the golden railings, Kellyra watched. The alien princess had been against the arena from the beginning. She had seen her people cheer for the deaths of others for entertainment and had wanted to stop it, but her influence was limited. She had authority, but not enough to end the games. She had watched hundreds of competitors fall, some strong, some clever, some lucky. But Jard was different. There was something in the way he moved, the way he thought on his feet. He didn't fight like a trained soldier. He fought like a human who had no choice but to survive. Kellyra leaned forward, her fingers gripping the railing. She could see the fear in his eyes, and she also saw the spark of defiance. She recognized it immediately because she carried it herself, a rebellion against expectations and tradition. The next challenge came almost immediately. The arena floor beneath Jard's feet opened again, revealing a pit filled with shifting sand that glowed faintly in green light. From the pit, tentacles emerged, thrashing violently. Each one ended in a sharp tip, dripping with a venom that had already killed several competitors earlier that day. Jard froze, unsure if he should run or jump. Kellyra's mind raced. She could not directly interfere in front of the crowd, that would draw suspicion, but she could shift the mechanisms that controlled the traps. Carefully, she manipulated the controls from her hidden vantage point. The sand shifted just slightly, enough to create a narrow path for Jard to cross. He didn't know it, but she had given him a chance to live. Jard's eyes widened at the narrow path. He hesitated for a moment, heart hammering. Then he remembered the small piece of metal in his hands. He dropped it onto the sand, causing the tentacles to strike the object instead of him. Timing his movements, he leaped forward, hopping from one safe tile to another. His feet barely landed on the last one before a tentacle shot past where he had been standing. The crowd erupted in cheers. A human had survived a deadly trap that no one else had managed. Some spectators whispered in awe, others in disbelief. Jard barely had time to catch his breath before the next round began. The arena was relentless, showing no mercy, allowing no pause. The next challenge was more complex. A group of alien warriors, each heavily armored and armed with plasma blades, was released into the arena. Jard's first thought was to run, but the exit had already been sealed. He had no choice but to fight. He remembered what Kelaira had seen in him, ingenuity. He scanned the arena floor and noticed a pattern in the warriors' movements. They were trained, predictable in their strikes. If he could manipulate their rhythm, he might create an opening. Jard grabbed a shard of broken armor and held it in front of him like a shield. The first warrior swung at him, and Jard dodged, letting the warrior's momentum carry him past. The next strike came, and Jard used the shard to deflect it, sending the blade clanging against the metal tiles. The warriors hesitated for a fraction of a second, a fraction that was enough. He sprinted toward a pile of arena debris and pushed it onto the floor. Sparks flew as it hit the metal, creating a cloud of smoke. Using the confusion, he darted past the warriors and climbed a series of steps that led to a higher platform. From there, he could see the arena more clearly. He spotted a series of energy conduits running along the walls. If he could cut the right ones, he might create another distraction. With careful timing, Jard leaped down and struck a conduit with the metal shard. Electricity surged through the arena, temporarily stunning the warriors. He used the opening to escape to another platform, moving with a mix of fear and exhilaration. Each step was dangerous, but he was learning, adapting, surviving. Kelaira's heart raced as she watched him. She had made small adjustments to the traps, enough to give him a chance, but she could not do more without risking exposure. Yet she couldn't turn away. The human was surviving against all odds, using nothing but his mind and instincts. She realized that in him, humanity's resilience and creativity were shining through, even in the most hostile environment in the galaxy. The next round was announced with a deafening horn. A massive creature, taller than any human and covered in armored plates, lumbered into the arena. Its eyes glowed with a red intensity, and its roar shook the very ground. Jard froze. This was unlike anything he had faced before. He was small, weak, and unarmed compared to the beast. But he remembered what Kelaira had seen in him, the refusal to give up, the spark of life that no creature could extinguish. He circled the creature, looking for weaknesses. Its legs were thick, but its joints glimmered where the armor didn't cover. Its mouth opened wide, revealing rows of jagged teeth. Jard took a deep breath. He would have to be smarter than the creature, faster than his fear. Kelaira watched closely, her hands clenched. She could see him analyzing the creature, calculating, improvising. She nudged the arena controls subtly, shifting obstacles to guide him toward a safe path. Jard noticed an opening, a platform slightly higher than the rest. He sprinted, jumped, and landed on it just as the creature lashed out, its massive claw smashing the platform he had been standing on moments before. From this vantage point, Jard used the metal shard to trigger a series of traps. A cage fell, a net swung, and the creature roared in frustration. Sparks and fire erupted around it, giving Jard enough time to climb higher and reach the exit platform. He paused for a moment, chest heaving, adrenaline coursing through him. He had survived another deadly challenge. The crowd's reaction was thunderous. Humans had never been known for combat prowess in the arena, yet this one had survived impossible odds. Whispers spread like wildfire. "He's clever, he's fast, he's human." He barely noticed Kelaira standing in the shadows, watching him. Somewhere deep down, he sensed that his survival was not just chance. Someone was looking out for him, though he could not yet know who. He didn't know what the next day would bring, only that he would have to face even greater challenges. The arena was endless, merciless, and designed to break even the strongest. But Jard had survived this far, and somehow that gave him hope. Somewhere in the stands, Kelaira whispered to herself, "I will not let him fall, not him, not a human, not now." But the trials were far from over, and tomorrow, the arena of shadows would test him again. Yet even in the darkness, a single truth shone. Jard Cole was no ordinary human, and one alien princess had decided that his life mattered enough to tip fate itself in his favor. The sun rose over the arena of shadows, casting a harsh, golden light across the battlefield. Jard Cole awoke on the cold metal floor of his holding chamber, muscles stiff and bruised. Every bone ached from yesterday's trials, but he had survived. That survival was his only comfort in a place designed to strip away hope. He rose carefully, eyes scanning the chamber. Other competitors stirred as well, but none looked like him, human, fragile, yet unbroken. A horn blared louder than before, signaling the next round. Jard's heart thumped. Today, the arena would not be kind. He knew the creatures, the warriors, and the traps would be deadlier. He could not rely on luck alone. Every decision, every movement would count. From her hidden vantage point, Princess Kellyra watched again. She had slept little, worried about Jard. Her interference yesterday had given him a chance, but she knew the masters of the arena would be more cautious today. She had to act carefully, subtly nudging fate without exposing herself. The human's survival depended on more than his wits. He would need her guidance at key moments. The gates opened, and Jard stepped into the arena. The air was thick with tension and the smell of ozone from yesterday's traps. Across the floor, massive platforms shifted unpredictably. Above, cages suspended from chains carried smaller, fast-moving predators. The crowd roared, an alien cacophony of sound that made Jard's ears ring. From the start, the challenge was unlike any before. A horde of armored warriors stormed the arena, each wielding twin energy blades that crackled with blue light. Their movements were precise, coordinated, designed to overwhelm. Jard's first instinct was to retreat, but there was nowhere safe to go. He needed to survive not through force, but through intelligence and agility. He noticed that the warriors moved in a repeating pattern, each step predictable if timed correctly. He ducked low, letting the first strike pass over him. Then he jumped, rolled, and used a fallen beam to block another swing. Sparks flew, illuminating the metallic floor. The audience cheered, but Jard ignored them. His focus was on staying alive. Suddenly, a loud roar echoed through the arena. From the shadows emerged a creature far larger than any Jard had faced. A titan serpent, its scales glinting in the sunlight, eyes burning red, and teeth long enough to crush a human chest. Its tail swept across the floor, sending metal debris flying. Jard froze, calculating. Running was useless. Fighting it directly was impossible. He had to think, and fast. Kellyra's hands moved over her concealed control panel, carefully adjusting the arena's mechanisms. She nudged platforms to shift slightly, creating tiny openings. She could not control the Titan completely, but she could give Jard the chance to use the arena itself as a weapon. She held her breath, knowing that any misstep could expose her. Jard saw the pattern in the creature's attack, a rhythmic motion in its tail, a slight pause after each strike. He picked up a broken harness from the floor and fashioned it into a crude hook. Timing it perfectly, he snagged one of the Titan's tail spikes and swung it into a hanging chain. The chain rattled violently, striking a platform that tilted and sent a group of smaller predators tumbling into the pit below. Sparks and fire flared, momentarily distracting the Titan. He didn't pause. Using the distraction, Jard leapt across platforms, dodging swinging pendulums and shards of metal. His mind raced with possibilities, each step a calculation. The arena was alive with danger, but he was alive with determination. Survival was more than instinct now. It was a game of strategy, creativity, and quick thinking. The armored warriors regrouped and charged, their energy blades slashing through the air. Jard ducked, rolled, and grabbed a fallen beam, spinning it to knock one of them off balance. Another swung at him, and he used the momentum to flip onto a higher platform. He realized that fighting their strength with his weakness would not work. He needed to turn the arena itself against them. Kellyra saw him climbing toward a precarious platform near a pool of glowing liquid. A misstep could be fatal, but she nudged the platform's controls slightly, making it wobble just enough to give him an opening. Jard did not know it, but he had just been guided by her unseen hand. He leapt onto the liquid pool's edge, using a fallen chain to swing himself over a group of warriors. One stumbled and fell, sinking into the glowing liquid that hissed and burned upon contact. The crowd erupted again, a mixture of cheers and gasps. Humans were supposed to be weak, easy prey, yet this one was surviving, outsmarting opponents and creatures alike. Some spectators began to murmur, disbelief coloring their voices. The masters of the arena, however, were not amused. They had underestimated him, and that mistake could not stand. From the shadows, Kellyra's heart pounded. She could feel the risk escalating. Every adjustment she made could reveal her interference, but she could not let him fall. Humanity's resilience, its cleverness, demanded protection. She whispered under her breath, "Survive. You must survive." Jard sprinted, ducking under a swinging pendulum. The creature's tail lashed behind him, narrowly missing his leg. He noticed a series of suspended platforms above the serpent. If he could reach them, he might gain the height advantage needed to strike. Timing was everything. He ran, jumped, and grabbed the first platform, then another. Sparks flew from the friction, and a small explosion from a misaligned conduit temporarily blinded the creature. Jard seized the moment, using a broken energy beam to wedge the serpent's jaw open slightly. He couldn't kill it, but he could immobilize it long enough to escape the next threat. The Masters had released the arena's deadliest creation yet, a swarm of razor-winged predators. The swarm descended like a living storm, wings cutting the air with a shrill whistle. Jard's heart raced. He could not fight them all. But he noticed the swarm avoided the areas of unstable flooring, the same areas Kalyra had subtly adjusted to create safe paths. Using those openings, he dodged, rolled, and leapt, barely avoiding the creature's talons. Each movement was precise, calculated, a dance with death itself. Kalyra's eyes were wide. She had never seen a human move with such instinctive strategy. Her subtle interventions had helped, but this was his own courage, ingenuity, and determination. She realized that humanity had something rare in the galaxy, the ability to adapt, improvise, and persevere in situations that seemed impossible. As the predators closed in, Jard spotted a mechanism above, a large cage filled with debris ready to drop. He took a risk, swinging himself toward the chain that held it. With a well-aimed kick, he loosened the chain. The cage fell, scattering debris across the arena, crushing several predators and scattering the rest. The crowd's cheers grew louder, some rising to their feet. Humans had never been celebrated here in such a way, but the danger was far from over. The Titan serpent roared, shaking the arena to its core. The armored warriors regrouped, their eyes filled with fury. Jard's arms burned, muscles screaming in protest, but he pushed forward. There was no time to rest, no time to hesitate. Survival demanded every ounce of strength, every spark of intelligence he possessed. Kalyra realized that the final test was near. The Masters of the arena had noticed his unusual streak of luck. They would not allow him to escape without one final trial, designed to crush both body and spirit. She had to intervene subtly, creating a path where none should exist. Her fingers danced across the controls, rerouting traps, tilting platforms, and creating temporary barriers. It was risky. Any error could expose her and end Jard's life instantly. Jard saw an opening, a narrow bridge leading to the exit platform. Below, the Titan serpent roared, thrashing violently. He sprinted, ignoring the burning in his legs, the pain in his arms. Halfway across, a swinging blade nearly clipped him, sending him sprawling. He rolled, using momentum to spring forward. The end was close. One more leap, one more risk, and he could survive this trial. With a final surge, he jumped, landing on the exit platform as the arena's horn blared in alarm. The gates closed behind him, and he collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. He had survived. Against monsters, warriors, and impossible traps, he had made it through another day. Kalyra emerged briefly from the shadows, stepping onto a balcony where no one else could see her. She allowed herself a small smile. The human was alive, clever, and unbroken. He had proven something important, that humanity was not weak, not fragile, and certainly not to be underestimated. She whispered, "I told you I wouldn't let you fall." Someone had been watching over him, guiding him in ways he could not comprehend. Whoever it was, they had believed in him. And for the first time since arriving in this brutal world, Jard felt hope, not just for survival, but for something more. That night, as the arena fires dimmed, Jard sat alone, thinking of the battles to come. The Masters would not forget him, nor would the warriors or creatures. But he had learned the most important lesson. Survival depended not on strength alone, but on intelligence, courage, and the determination to refuse defeat. And somewhere above the arena, hidden in the shadows, Princess Kalyra watched over him, silently vowing to protect the human who had survived against all odds. Tomorrow, the arena of shadows would test him again. But Jard Cole was ready, not just to survive, but to prove that humanity had a place among the stars, a force of ingenuity, courage, and indomitable spirit. And for the first time, he believed he could win.